Good evening and welcome to Toys on Trial, the show where we absolutely eviscerate the time-honored plastic of our youth, one questionable design at a time.
I'm Michael, looking for love in Alderon Places, Briarwood.
And I am Rod5, standing by.
And just before we get into today's topic, which you may be able to guess given the amount of sheer plastic on the table and behind us, this cabinet behind us actually makes sense for once, we would like to introduce you to one of the key elements of our show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Golden Rammy.
At last.
At last.
Now, tell us about the Golden Rammy. What's its purpose on this show?
Well,
for those of you who can't remember.
The Golden Rammy, it will be awarded to the worst toy we encounter in the entire series.
Okay, wonderful.
So some existing candidates for the Golden Rammy would be Snout Spout from Masters of the Universe, the Neon era of G.I. Joe.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's what skin crawled just thinking about it.
The Neon era of Transformers. There was a lot of neon in the 90s, which is something we've covered in great length at the show. We're not on the show before. We're not going to go through that again.
Certainly seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, very, very much so. And, of course, the dreaded toilet from TMNT.
Oh, fun times, fun times. That would be the Flush-O-Matic.
That would be the Flush-O-Matic.
Wonderful. So far on the show, we have looked at Masters of the Universe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, even Transformers. Well, I think we all knew that today's episode was coming. So without further ado, we'll introduce today's topic, Star Wars, the Kenner Years. And I believe we have a clip to get you guys in the mood, to bring you up to the speed. Take a time warp back to the 1970s.
It's Darth Vader! Watch out! And he's got a lightsaber!
It's Kenner's new Star Wars action figures, each sold separately.
I've got you now, Ben Kenobi!
With R2-D2 and C-3PO, there's even Chewbacca and Han Solo.
Someone's coming, Chewie. Who's there? It's Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker! Now I know the Force is with us.
R2-D2, Darth Vader, C-3PO, and other Kenner Star Wars action figures, each sold separately.
Can I just point something out
Please.
Regarding the first Star Wars film? This is something that's always kind of annoyed me, particularly since the release of the prequel trilogy, which we will not be talking about further on this show.
No time.
Reasons. No time.
Maybe in the future.
So, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to hide this kid from not only Darth Vader,
Right.
but from the entire Imperial army, whatever.
Bit of a task, yeah.
Bit of a task. Bit of a task indeed. I'm going to hide him under his real name with his blood relatives. Keep an eye on him from a desert while this whole Order 66 BS is going on. Not even, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm just going to change my first name. I'm just going to be Ben now. And that's basically what...
Well, I'm out
That's
of
where we're
ideas.
at. I am, yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, at least Yoda went to a swamp.
Yeah. I'm never going to find Obi-Wan Kenobi ever.
Yeah, talk about hiding in plain sight, am I right?
No, it's like, it's like the whole, we've tried literally nothing and we're out of ideas. Speaking of, you come at today's topic with a very unique perspective, I believe. Now, what is that, Mike? Would you like to tell us before we get into it?
Rod here is an expert on the 1978 to 1995 Kenner Star Wars line.
Yeah.
I am not. I'm actually pretty damn clueless about this entire topic.
So you didn't have any Star Wars growing up as a kid?
Look, I had a couple. I had the Chewbacca figure.
Oh, lovely. We've got a Chewie right here.
We do have a Chewie right here.
This is just what you saw in the video. That is a 1978 Chewbacca. Now, you might be thinking at this point, hang on, didn't Star Wars come out in 77? Well, we'll get onto that in just a moment. But yeah, this is a 1978 figure. So you said you had this one as a kid.
I had that one as a kid. And can I just say, though, George Lucas convincing 20th Century Fox, this is actually the one thing I know about the Star Wars line.
Yep.
George Lucas convincing 20th Century Fox that, you know what, I'm just going to keep the merchandising rights to this flick. You guys don't mind, do you? And Fox was like, sure, we've never merchandised a movie before. Whatever, go for it.
Indeed. I'll tell you a little bit about that, actually. Now, usually when a toy company options a the they prefer to make that deal roughly 2 years in advance. Now, George was very tight-lipped about the whole thing. He didn't close the toy deal until 6 months before the film's release, in the interest of secrecy. He didn't want designs of, ships, vehicles, and characters, so forth, getting out. He was very sort of...
I mean, there was clearly a lot of competition in the space fantasy genre at the time.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, no, there wasn't.
I thought you were being serious for a minute. I mean, we had Battlestar Galactica in that time.
Yeah, that's true. We had BSG. We had Star Trek the Motion Picture.
That's right.
Would come along a few years later. But the 70s in sci-fi, you really had your Logan's Run, your Omega Man, things like that.
Beautiful. Now, tonight's
Tatooine
topic...
has sand and Vader hates sand.
Oh, Vader does hate sand.
Yeah.
It gets everywhere, I'm told. Now, tonight's topic poses quite an interesting challenge. Well, aside from keeping your figure standing up, there's something else that we're dealing with for the first time. Now, with every other toy license, toy property that we've covered so far on the show, we have been dealing with source materials like comics or cartoons. And the toy designs have been more or less independent of those mediums. Like first we saw the He-Man figures, and then came the comics and cartoons and so forth. And similarly, the Turtles were sort of did their own thing, didn't sort of loosely followed the comics and cartoon, but not really. This is the only time where a toy line has had to live up with a real world, like a motion picture, like a live action medium.
And I mean, bearing in mind as well, everything else we've discussed on this show has been based on an animated medium. This is the first time where, as Rod has just said, where toys are based off a live action property.
Absolutely. And the inherent challenge is it actually gives us a little less room to move, a little less wiggle room in terms of actually critiquing these things.
I thought all the toy companies passed because it was going to be shite. Well,
Aaron, you are 100% correct. It took a little-known toy line from Cincinnati, Ohio called Kenner to take the risk after being turned down by everyone in town.
Mattel, Hasbro, which is ironic as hell now.
Oh, yes. Mattel and Hasbro did not want a bar of George and his $1 million idea, and they would come to regret that very, very swiftly.
Yep. But what I was getting at, though, with the design of the toys at the moment, and this is, bearing in mind, this is coming to it from a fairly fresh perspective. Given the technology of the time, they're actually pretty screen accurate.
They are, which is actually a kind of a beautiful and odd thing, given that it was 1978. Now, again, you may be wondering, why 78 if the film came out in 77? Well, the runaway success of Star Wars in May of 77 blindsided absolutely everyone. So much so that Kenner said there wouldn't be any action figures ready until the spring of 1978. So there were a couple of things. I mean, you could get a poster here and there. You could get a jigsaw puzzle, a T-shirt.
Basically the kind of thing that was fairly quick turnaround.
Yeah. Sort of merch that you could sort of print overnight. Hello, we saying hello to someone?
Yes, Colin just said, "Hey guys."
Oh, hey guys.
Hey Colin.
Hey Colin. Sorry, we're guys. You're Colin. How you doing? Okay, I get confused sometimes. It might be the helmet. Anyway, so yes, we didn't get any action figures until 1978. All kids got at the end of 77 was basically a cardboard box known as the infamous early bird kit, which was basically a coupon and a couple of stickers and a standee to display your future figures on. You sent away, and early in the new year, you got a tray with Princess Leia, Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker, and R2-D2, the first 4 figures made in 1978.
Bonk the box, bonk the box.
Bonk the box? Which
Not
box?
that kind of show.
Oh, it is not that kind of show at all.
It's kind of that kind of show.
So yes, but once the figures dropped in 1978, it was absolute pandemonium. Kenner could do no wrong, or so we thought. Now,
if Kenner could do no wrong, this would be a very short episode.
Absolutely. If Kenner would do no wrong, we wouldn't even be here today. This is, after all, Toys on Trial.
Aaron, do not bonk any boxes.
We will not be bonking any boxes, folks. We're coming to you live from Aaron's Collectibles, and a lot of what you see here tonight is actual stock. The good news for you, our viewer, is that if you fancy any of what you see here, come on down, and Aaron will look after you. Here's our obligatory pitch. Moving on.
Very good.
Now, by around 1978, 1979, we had 21 figures to make up everything we saw in the first film. Now, at the time, even up until now, there were some complaints about some fairly glaring omissions of characters. We never got a Grand Moff Tarkin figure.
Which just completely blows my mind. He was such a major part of that film.
There is a reason for that. We also never got Aunt Beru, Uncle Owen, And
regular or burnt versions.
Yeah, no extra crispy at all, and no Rebel Fleet Trooper. You know, the Rebel soldiers from the start. Plenty of Stormtroopers, but no Rebel Fleet Trooper, just to name a few. Now, we would later find out, for those of you who didn't know, we actually did not get a Tarkin figure. There was a big rumor saying that Peter Cushing did not consent to toy likeness rights. And that's why we didn't actually get our first Tarkin figure until 1997.
Legit question, were toy likeness rights even a thing in 1978?
My understanding of it, I'm no lawyer, of course. Shocking. I mean, that's why we don't have a real gavel. We have Bonk the chicken. And this is the court of public opinion. My understanding is that those sort of things are sort of signed away as soon as you basically start filming. Any lawyers out there who want to chime in, please correct me. I know literally nothing about this.
I mean, I know moving forward it would become a thing, but like Ghostbusters, for instance.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. The truth of the matter was, it had nothing to do with that. Kenner just prioritized characters that they knew they could sell. Now, as pivotal as Grand Moff Tarkin is to the story of Star Wars A New Hope, he's not a character of action. He's not a Jedi. He doesn't have a lightsaber. He basically just stands around the Death Star with his hands behind his back.
Let's have the occasional psyche comment.
Yeah, being a bit smarmy, you know. So you could pretty much use any figure for that. You know. But
you had sort of the and as I said, bearing in mind I don't know Jack about this, but didn't you have like an Imperial officer figure? There could sort of been a stand-in.
Yeah, there was an Imperial officer figure in the sort of grey tunic.
Why is the Death Squad commander any different?
Indeed. We surmise that the Death Squad commander, I think we actually have one here. I should have got him out. Oh, easy access. Look at that. Hello.
This is how you know we're live, guys.
This is how you know we are live. This here, funnily enough, is...
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
The Death Squad commander. Guess the kind of jack of all trades if you need a generic Imperial officer. He services, if you will, Grand Moff Tarkin.
He services Grand Moff Tarkin.
I'm hoping you know what I mean.
Take the chicken.
Take the chicken? Okay. Been waiting 5 episodes to do that. He's kind of your jack of all trades, Imperial dignitary sort of officer figure. So I guess he's sort of serviceable as Tarkin in that respect.
Ravenna tuned into Bonk's introduction. Always around for the bonking.
Welcome, Ravenna. Thank you for joining us. So that was basically as close to Tarkin as we got. Now, which brings us to defendant number 1. Again, in the spirit of creating interesting characters. So you want your Jedis, your droids, your exotic aliens, this and that. One of the figures we got is Snaggletooth. Now, I believe we have some images to this effect. Now, Mike, if you could take me to the Cantina playset, if you could.
This guy?
Yep, I'll give you some backstory. This is up on screen. You guys see that yet?
Not yet. It's coming.
No worries. It's coming. So basically, in 1978, there was a Canadian Sears exclusive Cantina adventure set. It was basically a big piece of cardboard. But it came with 4 figures. It came with Greedo, who we remember in the film. Han Solo shot him. We also saw Walrus Man, who was one of the guys at the bar who heckled Luke. Hammerhead, we see him in the cantina as well. These exotic aliens. And then we get Snaggletooth, now known as Blue Snaggletooth. Now, you might be wondering, why is this guy a defendant? You know, why is he up for the bonk? Because, frankly, of all the aliens they could have made and all the other characters this figure could have been, it's actually odd that they went with Snaggletooth, given that they actually had to make the figure twice because there was not... I
still think the empty box of nothing deserves a bonk. The absolute audacity to sell kids an empty box and have them be happy about it. You know what? Executive decision.
One of the greatest toy risks ever, and it paid off dividends. Now,
but could I just point something out about Snaggletooth and Walrus Man and Hammerhead and all these characters?
Sure.
Did whoever comes up with the names have the day off? Because they're just literally slapping whatever the heck they want on these things.
They could do.
He looks kind of like a walrus. Let's call him Walrus Man.
Indeed, they could have also, it could be a sickness.
Imagine if they kept that up, like with later trilogies. I don't know. Here's a brand new, exciting Star Wars action figure. Some guy.
Well, some of the decisions that would, be made in terms of Star Wars characters and designs down the track would
a little questionable.
suggest some, maybe some substance. Anyway, so
They were the same people coming up with the names for Motu figures.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So Snaggletooth they made twice because there was not enough photo reference. Now, bringing us back to the pictures, we've got a comparison for you.
It's comparison time with apologies to Pixel Dad.
Not a problem. Now, when Lucasfilm got wind, or rather when they saw the design of a tall blue Snaggletooth, the same size as all the other figures, 3 3/4 inch, by the way, revolutionary standard, they weren't happy with that. They're like, no, that's not what he looks like at all. Get rid of the moon boots. He's actually red and he's a lot shorter. So the figure on the right was the retail figure. I think we've got him on card as well.
I think we do.
So naturally, the specimen on the left, very, very rare nowadays, quite costly, hard to find, etc. But the thing is, they made this figure twice and we barely even see him. Now, I've actually included in this package a screenshot. I managed to actually find him on screen. Now, there was this other short character at the bar that a lot of people think was Snaggletooth, but the reality of, he is right here, split second, right after, in the cantina, right after the stormtroopers pass over Han and Chewie.
Oh, and he's all the way over here.
All the way over there. You can see that, folks?
And look, honestly, this guy got a toy.
He got a toy. Literally,
and
the only
Peter
time
Cushing,
we see him.
one of the greatest actors of that generation. Just whatever.
I mean, fair enough. You know, make figures of
He looks
characters
kind of
you
like a
think will
bum. Let's
sell.
call him Bumface. No, maybe Walrus Man then.
Now, I know Snaggletooth has his fans. I'm a fan too. But his role in the first 21, given they only had 21 figures to work with, is kind of silly, to be honest. So, I don't know about you, Mike. It's a bonk from me, but I would like to hear your point of view on it.
Bonk him.
Bonk him?
Bonk him.
So that's it? Alrighty. Moving on.
Snaggletooth was having a bad hair day. Snaggletooth was having a bad hair millennium.
Absolutely.
That was just tragic. I'm like myself.
Mind you, this has been 40 odd years. So I wonder if he's had his grill fixed. So, you know,
certainly
what
hope
would you
so.
call a Snaggletooth? It's no longer a Snaggletooth.
What was his name before he was Snaggletooth? I mean, surely.
I believe in the 90s, they actually gave him a proper name, as they did with many of these Walrus Man, Hammerhead type characters. They would eventually get names. Hammerhead would eventually be called Momor Nadon.
I still think Neon Numb was the worst name and will forever refer to him as Jack Flaps, much in line with the naming structure.
Oh, yes. Neon Numb from Return
Lobot. I mean, come on.
Lobot. It's like a robot that's not good enough to be a robot, so he's Lobot.
How Lobot can you go, bot?
Funnily enough, Lobot is not on our hit list. We thought we'd give the guy a break. One of the most famous peg warmers in the history of Star Wars. Lobot did not sell very well. But we shall move on to Defendant.
Lobot is short for lobotomy, yeah.
Absolutely is. Well,
yeah, you know what?
I don't know that to be fact, but I'm going to take our viewers' word for it. Our
Sure.
viewers are pretty switched on if they are watching
Well,
us.
that was our producer, so yes.
Absolutely. Now,
all right.
In the spirit of figures that, you know, are superfluous, probably didn't need to be made, and there's literally next to no reference for, we're going to give you a double header for Defendant number 2. Bonk. Call to the stand, Cloud Car Pilot, and Prune Face.
Oh. All right, so Cloud Car Pilot.
Yes.
That one?
Yes.
Yeah.
This bizarre-looking creature right here. Once again, now, to be fair, the figure lineup for Empire Strikes Back was a lot tighter than the first film. Most of the figures in the Empire Strikes Back collection, you will vividly remember. You'd be like, I know him, I know him, I know him, I know him.
Head.
What is that on his head? That's a helmet.
Lobot, part lobster, part robot, all bald British actor.
Indeed.
Yes.
Now,
Drama!
Cloud Car Pilot has so little screen time, if any, they actually had to fabricate. There wasn't enough for a photo of him on his action figure card back. So they actually had to fabricate some artwork. I think it's a painting or something. We've got a picture of the card back as well.
It's coming.
Not to mention that communicator he's holding, one of the most easily lost accessories in the history of the world.
So here is Cloud Car Pilot on the screen with his brief
1 second screen time,
15 milliseconds of fame. There he is.
Just before our heroes land at Cloud City and Empire Strikes Back, if you zoom in on that, you may catch a little bit of helmet.
He kind of looks like Jar Jar Binks.
Again, did not need to be made.
That's actually a model of a person, not a real person. Yes, it is.
Yeah, see?
You're absolutely right.
Not even
So Cloud Car Pilot, by that logic, and
not
by,
even real. I'm sorry. Yeah, harmless figure, sure. Superfluous, definitely. Could have been any other characters.
One of very few Star Wars characters to never. I mean, droids aside, honorable mention of the Gonk droid.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud Car Pilot, the crap figure you had to buy 2 of.
Absolutely, that's right. You did have to buy 2 of them because otherwise you had no one to pilot the Cloud Car, which admittedly was cool. Now, what makes the Cloud Car Pilot pretty useless is that in the first year of Empire Strikes Back figures, in 1980, one of the first figures we got was this little army builder known as the Bespin Security Guard, which, you know what? We see plenty of them in the film, especially as they're trying to rescue Han Solo. And this, in my opinion, makes
that's a pretty wicked looking stash on him.
Yeah, it's a very wicked looking stash.
So, this guy actually, true story.
Yeah?
This guy actually grew up to be Major Blood from G.I. Joe. Had his arm cut off, robot arm. The helmet, the mustache. It's lost one of his eyes at some point.
You heard it here first, folks. Canonize
it.
He had a run-in with Boba Fett and came off second. Now, this to me was perfectly serviceable for piloting the Cloud Car. In point of fact, you actually see these on the box of the Cloud Car because the Cloud Car Pilot was not made until about 1981-82. If you want to show us the card art, now mostly those of you who collected these back in the day would know that you'd have the figure and next to it would be a photo of the character in action. They could not even do that for the Cloud Car Pilot.
That's literally the most half-assed card art I've ever seen.
Indeed.
I mean, check this thing out.
I believe that is a painting or, at very best, a photograph of the model that they said they used.
Which, ironically, if you look at the figure compared to the card art, it's still not very accurate. I mean, the goggles are completely different. There's something around his neck there that you don't see on the figure.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, there's no excuse. It's a literal model, and they still couldn't get it right.
Again, could have been another character. It could have been,
could have been literally anything.
Could have been Luke Skywalker in, Bespin fatigues, whatever. While he's, spends half the movie training. And again, it's a superfluous figure.
What? Cloud Car Pilot.
Yeah, not for me. A lot of people had him in collection. I actually knew some people.
The goggles, they do nothing.
The goggles, they do nothing. Oh, speaking of, might be time to remove this, I think. Oh.
Where's your commitment to the bit, Rod?
My commitment to the bit is...
he's a little salty. I hit him on the head with a chicken.
I can see. Hey, everyone. How you doing? Wonderful. Yeah, I don't recommend getting hit on the head with a chicken with that helmet. It's about 10 times louder than it should be. So, yeah, Cloud Car Pilot. I knew a lot of people who had it and actually forgot that it was Star Wars. You did turn up in piles of figures at Trash and Treasure, and people would be like, what's this from?
It's almost like a vague X-Men vibe.
Kind of, yeah.
Like with the Cyclops style. The helmet looks like an RFT one without back piece. RFT?
RFT?
Put it back on, Nerf.
My face! But in the spirit of superfluous figures, Cloud Car Pilot has nothing on the next guy. Introducing Prune Face.
If we could roll the clip, please, back end.
Error, and the time is... I'm sorry, who the hell are you?
Prune Face, ma'am.
Anyway, the Emperor has made...
When the face is a prune, then action goes boom! Action! It's right there! Slaying low the sweet air! Prune Face! 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 Prune Face!
Well, then, glad to have you aboard, Prune Face. You'll be a great asset to this...
Actually, I lied. I'm just here to fix the copier machine.
The Emperor has...
It's your toner, probably. Prune Face! Prune Face!
And there we have it. So, yes, Prune Face. Now, fortunately...
Oh my god, what was that? Prune Face!
That was Robot Chicken pointing out what many, many collectors have noticed throughout the years in regards to Prune Face. Now,
if you eat him, it keeps you regular.
Indeed. Now, we actually have a Prune Face in person. A figure so obscure, most people did not know whereabouts he belonged in Return of the Jedi. Now, here's what we have here. This is Prune Face. Once
Nice
again,
cape. I
nice
gotta say,
he comes
it's
with
better name than Sticky Date Face. Eh?
That's right. He comes with a hooded cape and usually comes with a generic, very sort of real worldy kind of rifle.
Okay.
Now, this character, you go around to your friend's house, they'd have all their figures, and if you had like some sort of Jabba's palace set up, this guy was always there. Everyone thought this was one of Jabba's denizens.
Yeah.
Turns out this character is a rebel and can be seen apparently in the briefing room in Return of the Jedi as they're getting ready for the assault on the second Death Star. Now, if you want to just bring up the card art of this, it's another case of we don't have enough visual resource for this guy, so we're just going to basically mock together some sort of drawing, painting, or what have you. Now, once again, the background of the figure kind of gives away, the interior of a rebel spaceship or whatnot, but it would always get mistaken for...
You see him going up the ramp as the Imperial shuttle as Han and Lando say goodbye.
That we do, and we have the proof right here. So we'll bring you on to the next image. Now, this is the only time you see him on screen. The back of his head, we see a hood and a gun following Han Solo up the ramp of the Imperial shuttle as they depart for Endor. That is literally the only reference for this figure. Now, this figure could have been Mon Mothma, leader of the Rebel Alliance, thus giving us finally another female character.
I was going to say, yeah, also the second woman in the galaxy ever.
Exactly. Now, it also
No wonder everyone was so angry.
This could also have been a re-release of Vader where the mask comes off, so we can finally recreate, his return to Anakin, his sad death. That
would have been pretty rad.
Indeed. But no.
Probably would have sold more too.
Absolutely. This
not only face looked like Dobby without ears.
This not only was one of... Return of the Jedi had the most figures, mind you. They pumped them out for that film because they were ready. And this was one of the earlier ones to come out. But this had collectors baffled for years. By and large, not a bad figure. He does have a cool cape. Let me just take the cape off for a minute. Honestly, there's really not much to him aside from the cape.
Basic. Now, is that a reused torso?
Funnily enough, I don't think so.
Yeah, because we didn't really see a lot of parts reused in Star Wars.
No. Well, not with figures anyway. Now, it's original tooling. Again, they could have even saved money making another Vader with a removable helmet.
Yeah, because you would have had like the entire body tool then, or you would have had to have done his new head.
Yeah. I mean,
Some pretty questionable decisions here, Kenna.
Absolutely. Pruneface is a cult favorite.
Yes.
Sector face. He's a cult favorite, but just, not for me. Sorry, Pruneface. Love you, but you are missed opportunities.
Go to bad toy jail.
Bad toy jail. I'm sorry. Again,
well, the bad toy holding cell until we actually decide what we're giving the Golden Rammy to.
That's right. Tune in next week for our
Incidentally, if any of you have some suggestions for toys that we've covered previously that you think would be up for the Golden Rammy, awarded to the worst toy imaginable, do let us know.
Please. Next week will be our final episode where we determine the worst of the worst, and we would love your input in the meantime. We'll try and leave a poll up on the Sci-Fi Zone page or something to that effect. Anyway, you will be able to have your input, so we'll figure that out as soon as we wrap tonight, basically. Now, bring on Pink Shorts Guy.
PSG.
Pink Shorts Guy. Is there a Pink Shorts Guy here? Can't see one. I guess. Well, if you meant Snaggletooth, we already. Not that one. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is talk about dishonorable mentions.
Right.
Okay. Now these ones we kind of side eye. They're persons of interest, if you will, if we're going to go with the legal jargon, but not quite as bad that we have to basically put them up for a bonking. So first we have, left to right. Yep. Okay. Now, what you're about to see is the Tauntaun.
It was a real-life sound guy from Tunisia. Just wore pink shorts in the hot sun and boots, and that was it.
Ah, wonderful. Yes, in that case, he should have had a figure. Now, what you're about to see here is the box art for the Tauntaun. The second release of the Tauntaun, mind you. This one with the open belly rescue feature.
Wow.
Yeah. See?
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Absolutely. Now, you're used to seeing this for the first time, aren't you?
I am seeing this for the first time. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
So your Tauntaun, it dies of cold, dies of hypothermia. So you cut it out.
How hot is it inside a Tauntaun? It's lukewarm.
It's lukewarm. So you slice him down the middle and shove your mate in there so he doesn't freeze to death. But that's a rescue feature, folks. Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah, exactly. My point exactly. Again, it's been a butt of a lot of jokes over the years. A lot of collectors go, they take a poke at a rescue feature. What the hell is that? We haven't got a commercial for this.
I believe we do.
It's just kind of an oddball thing. I appreciate that it's actually based on a scene from The Empire Strikes Back, but it's really a really odd release. There was a version of this with a solid belly. That's the version I think I have at home. The rescue belly, rescue feature, open belly.
Rescue belly.
The rescue belly is actually harder to get. A little less common.
Wonder why.
Yeah. But just one of those.
Clip, please.
Just one of those oddball figures.
Easy,
Very well.
What is it? Wampa! Wampa!
New Tauntaun, Wampa, and action figures, each sold separately.
Han Solo! Help! Oh no! It's got Luke! Wampa! Watch it, Tauntaun! Gotcha!
New Tauntaun comes with an open belly rescue feature.
You'll be okay, Luke, as soon as I chase away that thing. Wampa! Wampa!
New Tauntaun and Hoth Wampa and other action figures, each sold separately from Kenner's Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection.
Wampa!
Open belly rescue feature. So there's the commercial of of said WTF toy. We also have what they look like now. Now, unfortunately, if you're a vintage collector and a fussy one at that,
oh dear,
getting one of these in really nice shape, very, very difficult. Something about the rubber, and I don't use the word flaps. They don't age well.
I love how Kenner paid the big bucks to use the Star Wars theme on their ads. I know, right?
Oh, absolutely. I always wondered about that, actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
Look at those latex flaps. Just what every kid wants.
Oh, yes. Now, unfortunately, it's really, really hard to find one of these days without looking like that.
Wow.
See how they've gone sort of like browny yellow? Yeah, that rubber it doesn't age. So getting a mint one, unfortunately, is pretty much impossible nowadays.
That is not pretty at all.
No, so it just kind of takes you out of it. But, it was a choice. I appreciate that they actually made something very scene specific. But calling it the open belly rescue feature has had collectors chuckling for decades.
You know what? Really the first example of being able to use toys to reenact scenes from the film. So I can't be mad at it for that.
Yeah, and that's why we give it a pass.
The execution's a bit flawed, but
yeah,
I'm not reading that comment. The execution, the execution is a bit flawed. I
didn't see said comment, but I'll have to take your word for
I'll tell you after the show.
Okay. Yeah, again, look, a perfectly serviceable toy. It's just kind of a rescue feature. Kind of, it's one of those things that it comes up in collector circles and we kind of have a laugh at it, but fairly benign. In addition to that, so no bonking here. In addition to that, we have another fairly superfluous. Look at the box, VME. We have another superfluous toy that they limped out around about Return of the Jedi, and that is it's not a vehicle. It's I guess you'd call it an accessory pack. Basically, it's the vehicle maintenance energizer. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can see that. It really doesn't do much at all.
That?
It basically it swivels, it pivots slightly, and it has these two little black hoses with like a suction cup end that you can pretend to plug into your vehicle. You can't actually plug it into anything, but you just put it on your vehicle and pretend you're gassing it up. Basically,
so it's a Bowser. It's an intergalactic petrol pump.
Absolutely, yes. You know what? Had they marketed it as an intergalactic petrol Bowser, I probably would have bought it. This was something I encountered a lot in my years of collecting vintage Star Wars, and never once was I compelled to buy it. We actually have a loose shot of it here as well, with all the parts laid out. So it does come with about, I think, 8 or so little space tools, like spanners, wrenches, pliers, whatnot. But honestly, it doesn't do much. I mean, it's
Taking the Tauntaun to the vet. Can you help him, Doc? I've busted his flaps.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks for that. But yeah, here it is. Here it is outside of the box. Again,
Wow, that's... Yeah.
it just kind of moves left to right. It apparently sticks on things. It doesn't really. And it just has a bunch of tools, which, so it's basically a glorified accessory
So
pack.
here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Did the Star Wars line ever have any sort of mechanic figure?
We had medical droids, 2 medical droids in point of fact, but a mechanic specifically, not so much. I mean,
this is the thing, though. Seriously, your blue collar class was completely underrepresented in the Star Wars line.
oh,
Droids aside, no mechanics. The closest you had was the military. Your rebel officers, your stormtroopers, things like that.
what about farmers?
Farmers were
Yeah,
farmers.
Luke being a farm boy.
Luke being a farm boy who went off and joined the Rebel Alliance.
Okay, so he went to college. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, farm boy, but he didn't stay a farm boy.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Like, if he stayed a farm boy, if that was literally all he did the entire series, and he got a figure, fine.
Amazingly
Rose
enough,
is a mechanic, better late than never. You're damn right, Sarah. Damn right.
represent. Now, amazingly or not, okay, now I know what you're getting at. Amazingly, this vehicle maintenance energizer actually has screen time. Now, I was not aware of
It's
this.
doing better than Cloud Car Pilot then.
Absolutely. I did not know this until literally today, putting together in preparation for tonight. I think we have a picture of it as well.
That was we had a picture of it.
Now, it comes in
There it is.
It comes in a sort of Empire Strikes Back themed box. You got Chewbacca in the snow, but the actual item, the actual prop rather, appears in
We
New
saw
Hope.
plenty of mechanics when connected and disconnected tunes to the X-Wings. Yeah, we did. Screen time? Absolutely. Screen
Yeah.
time all over the place.
So here it is in
What
an
I
outtake from New Hope.
meant, Gavin, was in action figure form.
Yeah, and there it is.
Okay, and 2 mechanics.
It actually has screen time in A New Hope. Oh, I mean, this is an outtake, I think. Or it could be a
What's-
production photo.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch the film again.
What's that?
Shock
What
horror.
kind of vehicle is that fueling? Is that an X-Wing?
That is a Y-wing.
Y-Wing, gotcha.
Yeah. So there you go. Something I thought was just for years and years, something that is cooked up, actually has screen time. So there you go. But again, look, perfectly harmless, just very, very superfluous. So, if you have it and you enjoy it, great. I just don't see much point to it. But those are our dishonorable mentions, persons of interest, if you will. Not worthy of the bonking, but we will be watching you. Now, defendant number 3. Oh my God. This, folks, is egregious. Now, so far, we've had a bit of a... Did he bonk? Okay. So far, we've had a bit of a task trying to really nitpick what is admittedly a pretty tight line, especially since this has live action reference. So they're literally just translating for the most part what we see on screen. So there's really nothing you can fault them on. Until now.
Oh dear.
Defendant number 3, if you will, Darth Briarwood. I refer to the Jabba the Hutt dungeon action playset. Now, I use the term playset very, very loosely.
I use the term dungeon very, very loosely.
Absolutely. If dungeons are your thing, you'd be highly disappointed in this schlock of a piece.
I mean, what even is that?
It is a plastic base with one little crane which just pivots left and right, and its only selling point is that it comes with 3 figures.
Now, I did like the whole Klaatu, Barata, and Nikto thing.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, that's a reference to... Was it The Day the Earth Stood
The
Still?
Day the Earth Stood Still,
Yeah.
That's right.
And then, of course, later Evil Dead
Mm-hmm.
riffed it as well.
Yep. Even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon pulled that one as well.
Did they?
They had a Barata, Klaatu, and Nikto.
How about that?
But yes, the Jabba the Hutt dungeon action playset. This was probably the cheekiest maneuver that Kenner ever pulled. This was in 1983 for Return of the Jedi. It's a plastic base that does nothing with 3 figures in a little baggie. That's basically all there is to it. But it gets worse, let me tell you. They had the audacity to release this thing twice.
The think I know where you're going with this.
Yep. Side by side comparison. Oh, wait, no. Actually, we're going to go back a bit. Yep, this is fine. So, if you think that base looks familiar, you probably have seen it before.
Gavin Atkins has just given us a spoiler there. Thanks for that, Gavin.
What was that?
Like the Droid Factory.
Indeed.
Not like the Droid Factory, you'll find.
Speak of the devil, and it shall appear. The Droid Factory from 1978. Now, this...
So there was a dismembered R2 unit in there.
Yeah, this was basically a kit for making your own action figures. And honestly, it was pretty cool. You could kind of posit that it was maybe the inside of the Jawa Sandcrawler. It's not something you ever see on screen, but it's this kind of cool thing where you can just, make your own droids. And incidentally, it's the only way you could get a R2 with the third leg, with the wheel.
Is that right?
That's right, yeah. So unfortunately, this piece turns up a lot, missing the R2. As you can imagine, for completers. But yes, that is the base that they have just remolded and called the Jabba's Dungeon playset with no extra parts. And as I said, they released it twice. Now, in the next image, we have it molded in brown instead of grey with 3 different figures.
Oh, this time it came with Barada.
That's right. This time it came with EV99, Amanaman, and Barada.
Amanaman.
Now, this one...
Amanaman.
Amanaman. Thank you for that. Now, this one's slightly more desirable because the figures it came with were 1984 and 85 releases. EV99, Amanaman, and Barada were from the famed Power of the Force line that came out in 1985 with the commemorative coin, and that is quite sought after, just for the figures. So a lot of these playsets, I use mockingly, have been pillaged for the figures and then discarded.
But it's got a new hat. Yes, it does.
And deservingly so.
Actually, no, I do not see a new... I've still got that picture in front of me. I do not see a new hat anywhere in there.
A new hat?
It's got a Manaman with his stick and Barada with looking like he's about to yell at kids to get off his lawn. I don't see a hat.
So credit to Kenner for getting away with using the same base 3 times, but when 2 times are just the base with 3 figures thrown on it and called a playset, I'm sorry, Kenner, but shame on you. Definite bonk from me.
It's a bonk from me too.
Yeah, no question. No. Poor effort.
I saw today in Big W for their toy sale that Disney minifigures have a few Star Wars retro-style minifigures. That's cool.
That's it. What's old is new again. It's very bizarre being in a Big W or a Toy World at the moment because you'd be staring straight at
Masters
retro
of the Universe, Transformers.
Yep.
I mean, if they have Turtles, if they have any Moto in stock, which most of them don't.
All on retro cards. So looking exactly as they did 40 years ago.
So tell me, Rod.
Yes, sir.
After the Star Wars movies finished, because bear in mind there was only 3, and everything was pretty much over and done by 1984. What did they do after that? When they had this insane plastic juggernaut and revolutionary toy line, one of the first toy lines to incorporate vehicles to a standard, vehicles and playsets. You had Death Stars, you had corridors, you had Jabba the Hutt's dungeon.
Absolutely. Now,
saddest dungeon I've ever seen.
When head of Kenner revolutionized the 3 3/4 scale for Star Wars figures, Bernie Loomis, when he did that in 1977, a lot of people believed it was because of the oil crisis happening at the time. You know, the price of plastics was skyrocketing, but it also had to do with the fact that they wanted to be able to put as much of this universe in kids' hands as possible. So if you had figures...
that's pretty cool.
Yes. So if you had figures that were sort of like 8-inch scale or whatnot...
Long episode. Yeah, we're already 5 minutes over our normal time.
Long
you know
episode.
What? Let's just keep going.
It's Star Wars. Frankly, I had a feeling this would happen. But if you're happy to keep going, so are we.
Yep.
So, but if you have figures that are like 8 inches or whatever, it's harder to create a decent scale Millennium Falcon or an X-Wing or a TIE Fighter, this and that.
I mean, you could create it. You're just dealing with USS flag territory here.
Also, it puts you into a price point which is inaccessible for a lot of kids and a lot of families. So I think this was actually a really smart decision on a lot of levels.
Definitely.
But as Mike was saying, special edition.
Special edition.
That's us. So this is Toys on Trail special edition.
Rod shot first.
Extended cut. Now, as Mike was saying, Star Wars was effectively dead for almost a decade after 1980.
Hard to believe now, isn't it?
Indeed. After 1985, there were no more films on the horizon, and it was slowly leaving people's consciousness. The first rumblings of a Star Wars revival sort of happened around 91 with the release of Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire trilogy, a new trilogy of books. It was very, very popular, still is. But around 1994 was when Kenner and Hasbro started to take notice of the kind of business that the vintage Star Wars was doing on the secondary market. Indeed. So by 1994, the original vintage stuff was very, very popular again, and Kenner and Hasbro picked up on that and gone, hey, this thing still has legs. It has a market. Let's try and bring this back. So by 1995, we had Defendant 4.
Yes.
Also known in collectors as Power of the Force 2.
Which, of course, followed on from Power of the Force 1.
Power of the Force 1. Power of the Force 1 was a 1985 line designed to be kind of a victory lap. It incorporated 17 new characters, mostly from Return of the Jedi, sadly, but they were packaged with a coin, and that was basically the end of the line.
So what do you notice? I'm noticing a few things about, and it went downhill from there, that it did.
Absolutely.
I'm noticing a few things about this particular wave of figures. Can I just say, firstly, R2-D2 and C-3PO look pretty schmick.
Mm-hmm.
From there on, though, I mean, you've got Get Off My Lawn Obi-Wan Kenobi, which on Tatooine, that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Chewbacca right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, folks, if you're suddenly confused...
The Gym Junkies line, yes.
If you're suddenly confused and think we're showing up pictures of He-Man figures, you can be forgiven for that.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker with his... I don't even want to know what's going through his mind in that.
Yes,
This
is Star Wars The Jacked Edition.
Mm.
Mind you, this is 1995 at this point. There is more than sufficient reference to create faithful representations of the characters.
More than sufficient technology, too.
Technology. So there's really... It
still
boggles the mind, really, doesn't
You're
it?
dealing with essentially 5 points of articulation there, or 6 on Chewbacca, Han, Leia, and Luke and Vader. 5 points. Looks like 5 points on the Stormtrooper and 3PO there.
Mm-hmm.
3 points on. These are knockoffs, right? Right.
Sorry to disappoint you, Aaron, but as you well know, they are not knockoffs. This was legit. But
they've been on the roids. Yep.
It was the first thing we'd seen of Star Wars in 10 years, and honestly, most of us were just excited to have something, anything again in the toy shops. I fell for it. I collected maybe about the first 60 odd before cashing out, and so did a lot of other collectors. God. Now we have some more specific images. Let's bring up Luke, shall we?
Yeah, let's have a look at old Luke.
Luke from Eternia.
Luke be a Jedi tonight. Oops.
Now, this is a scrawny farm boy, or at least Kenner's 90s idea of the scrawny farm boy.
This is the Luke Skywalker, I've seen some things, man, and some stuff edition.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, this is Luke.
Sylvester Stallone.
Traumatized Luke Skywalker.
Absolutely.
Droids, same diff. Yeah, as well. Droids on roids.
Droids on roids. I think we even have a Han Solo.
I think we do.
Not just a picture, but we actually have this one in person.
Oh, my.
Now, as easy as these things are to get,
at the moment, aunt and uncle cooked. What do you expect? I mean, fair. So that was the Luke Skywalker immediately after seeing Owen and Beru's Charred Corpses edition.
See, I figured he was just throwing his shoulders forward to try and impress Leia when he first meets her. You know how you see some dudes that actually aren't that big, but they throw their shoulders forward to try and look a bit more? That's what I get out of Luke from this figure. Here's Han Solo as well. The figure's so wide, he has to walk sideways to get through the damn door of the Falcon. With Chewbacca, not much better. Here he is too, jacked as hell. He's like a wrestler. But if you think these are ridiculous...
Also available for what looks like $16 and $19 respectively here at Aaron's Collectibles. Get your hands on a slice of Toys on Trial history.
Absolutely.
Actual show bonked figures.
We could sign it if you want. If Aaron lets us. Now,
I doubt it.
As ridiculous as your Hans, your Lukes, your Chewbaccas, and your Vader. Vader was huge as well for some reason. That's nothing.
Do you even lift, bro?
That is nothing on their dismal excuse of a Princess Leia figure.
Oh, here we go.
Now, unfortunately, we don't have one in person, but the Leia they gave us, not only was she jacked as hell, she looks a lot like, for comparison, former heavyweight boxer Tommy Morrison.
That is a pretty epic mullet on Tommy Morrison.
Absolutely.
But you're right. Yeah, there is definite resemblance there.
Movie buffs may
Definite
remember him
resemblance
from Rocky V. Now, we know full well that they had the means
there. Does Aaron sell the bonk chook? Now, the chicken we actually could sign.
We could, yeah.
Mm.
Now, it's the mid-90s. We know at this point that Kenner, all toy companies pretty much, are well within the means to create a more faithful likeness of the dearly departed Carrie Fisher. I mean, look at the original vintage figure. I've got one on hand. I'm just going to hold this up to the camera. If you guys can see that, very soft features. She's lovely. I've never in 40-odd years ever
Can I just say the vinyl cape as well? That's pretty epic.
Sorry?
The vinyl cape as well. That's pretty cool.
Indeed. 70s as heck. But this figure, you know, I've never heard a complaint about it, aside from it being very rare and hard to find.
It's a character from The Fifth Element.
Indeed. But, yeah, that 1995 layer, ye gods.
Yeah. And can I just say, too, incidentally, yeah.
Bad Han.
Yeah, Bad Han, Bad Chewie. Can I just say as well, like,
Indeed.
and this from a perspective of someone who doesn't know a whole lot about the Star Wars line.
Mm-hmm.
These figures, sorry, these figures, these first release New Hope figures with the telescopic lightsabers, I'm still mad at them for ending that. You can't really see it from where it's hanging.
Those of you that
but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we just put the trivia on at the moment. That's right.
Yeah.
Originally, the lightsabers for Luke, Ben, and Vader were pitched to be spring-loaded, but Kenner were not interested in shelling out the 3 cents per spring that it would have cost.
Which is probably not such a bad thing, considering, you know, hey, I'm going to look and see where this lightsaber comes out.
In hindsight, because we know that Kenner have not had a good run with spring-loaded stuff, which brings us finally to, and this is not up for bonk, mind you, the legendary rocket-firing Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, where?
Boba Fett? Where?
Leia with a multi-pass to use a saber. Yeah.
Now, a lot of collectors swear black and blue that they opened a rocket-firing Boba Fett when they were young. You did not. I'm sorry, but you didn't. These were never, ever available at retail. What we got here is a fan-made replica, very faithful one, of the unpainted prototype. Now, these were what's the word? They were cancelled just before production because of an incident involving a child choking on a Battlestar Galactica missile.
So Mattel toy line, I believe, the BSG ones.
That's right. So those of you who ordered this in 1979, mail away, because it was a mail away offer first before coming on card, you would have gotten a slip of paper in the box with the standard Boba Fett saying, sorry, but this isn't spring-loaded because it's not safe.
Yeah.
Basically.
And tell me something, Rod, too. Boba Fett.
Yes.
Not introduced as in The Empire Strikes Back, as everyone was led to believe. Where was the Boba Fett character actually introduced?
Well, maybe pitch that to the audience, shall we?
Can anyone tell us where the Boba Fett character was introduced? What particular piece of Star Wars content that was?
Now, as we wait for you to chime in, the Boba Fett figure did come out in 1979, a full year before its first appearance in The Empire Strikes Back. So it is part of the original
movie appearance.
Yes, first movie appearance. So it is part of the original 21 figures made for A New Hope.
Gavin, you're absolutely right. That was the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Indeed.
Now, the Star Wars Holiday Special introduced a lot of my favorite elements in Star Wars.
Oh?
You've got Chewbacca's father watching porn in his lounge room.
And what was his name?
Chewbacca's father was named Itchy.
And what about there was a young one too, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. Was his younger brother or his son that was named Lumpy?
Yes. So we somehow went from Chewbacca to Lumpy and Itchy.
Yeah, I got to say, Carrie Fisher wasn't the only Star Wars person on drugs at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell George Lucas was thinking, but...
Honorary bonk for the holiday special. We all knew it was coming.
What's your opinion of the name Grogu for the child in The Mandalorian? I'm fine with it.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Not the best, not the worst.
But I will say one of my
Star Wars-ish.
one of my absolute favorite elements of the holiday special has got to be B. Arthur as the owner of the cantina. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Dorothy Spornak.
The saving grace of that 90 minutes, about 90 minutes, acid trip.
Yeah, and also the saving grace of your shirt from our first episode.
Oh, yes. Yes. Ah, yes.
Boba made his first public appearance at the San Anselmo County Fair in California on September 24th, 1978.
Absolutely true. There was a street parade, and alongside Darth Vader, the film used Darth Vader, mind you, the costume, was
very cool.
straight off the screen, was Boba Fett. And people were like, who's that? I don't know, but he looks hella cool.
Honestly, Mike, nice one.
Indeed. I think that pretty much wraps us up. It's about all we've got time for tonight.
Yeah, but honestly, Star Wars Holiday Special, it's getting bonked.
Oh, yeah.
It's technically not eligible as is not a toy, because if it was, it'd win the Golden Rammy straight away. But it's so bad, it's getting a bonk.
It's not a toy, but it certainly is a crime against cinema, and not for the faint-hearted. If you haven't seen it, and you feel compelled to hunt down a copy of it, do so at your own risk. But in the meantime, we hope you tune in next week where we do our
So you can't
knocking over of toys.
You can't get mad at me for that one.
No, that's completely on me. Next week, we're doing what we call our wild card round, where we go back through everything and actually determine the winner of our version of the Razzie, the Rammy, the worst toy of all time. But before that, we're going to spend some time looking at the all-time best, the ones that defy nostalgia, and the ones that are just objectively great still.
The ones that there wasn't necessarily enough to warrant their own episode, but was still pretty effing cool.
Because we're not just all about the negative here. We want to, time we inject some positive.
I think so.
Indeed.
I've been Michael Briarwood.
And I'm Rod5, signing off. Court adjourned.